Hello, my name is Craig Pinkney, Managing Director of Rural Action UK. We're here today at the Public, West Bromwich, and we're doing an event called Call to Action. Why is Call to Action? Basically, I got a call from my sister Marcia Spence, and basically we wanted to address our community. There's many issues taking place in our society where young people are getting involved in criminality, young people that are getting involved in crime, young people that are getting involved in substance misuse, and all the wrong things that are taking place in our society. And what I wanted to do was basically call people from the community to say, this is what's taking place, recognize some of the things that are taking place in our community, and let's respond effectively. What can we do as parents? What can we do as practitioners? What can we do as young people to upskill people with the tools that can safeguard our young people, and as parents, how we can better parent our young people? So this is the call to action. Stay tuned.
Managing Director of Success Makers. The call to action was an opportunity for people to come out and work with us to help rebuild the village. It takes a village to raise a whole child, and we're aiming to really break the cycle of disenfranchised families, break the cycle of disaffected youth.
Once again, beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon. The sun is shining. You know, it makes me feel as if there is promise in the air. Yeah? It's not all doom and gloom. There is good promise in the air. We're going to start with a little bit of entertainment, but I want to say before we do that, thank you so much for coming out today. Today is an exceptionally special occasion for you to be here to support and to take part with. The conference, as you know, is called Call to Action, and it's all about, you're going to find out what it's all about. You're definitely going to find out what it's all about. But I can guarantee you one thing, from the words that I don't speak, I can tell you that today you will leave here, just a few of us that are here, there's a reason for that, but I think you'll all leave here with a change of purpose, perhaps even a change of plan, and I'm looking forward to hearing the stories that come back from that at a later date.
Now, to get to the meat of why we're here today, and we don't have much time, we don't have a lot of time to play around at all. Marcia Spence and Craig Pinkney, two activists, I call them now, they weren't really. Marcia has spent 25 years in leadership and management and in child education and child provision and care. She has the most amount of experience. She has experience in childcare that some of us have never even thought about. Craig Pinkney has spent 9 years on the streets working with hard-to-reach, disadvantaged children, youth as we call them. He has a BA in educational specialism. Is that right, Craig? I get it wrong every time I say it. Craig has some massive qualifications in education, and he's also just about to finish his master's degree in criminology. So when I tell you that these guys know what they're talking about, they know what they're talking about. The very special thing about being here today is that these are a couple of people with experience and academic credentials who are willing to share. Did you hear what I said? They're willing to share. You often come across professionals with the academics and the experience who are doing very well and quite nicely for themselves, thank you very much. But when it comes to giving back, they don't have the time, or they don't have the vision, they don't have the heart to do so. Now, I was pulled into this conference with the subtitle, the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. And we all know through looking around what's going on at the moment that we do have some issues. We do. It's a waste of time trying to deny the fact we have some issues. Quite luckily for us, and luckily for me because they chose me to be involved, Craig and Marcia have come together to form this beginning of action called a Call to Action. And it's going to be about involving all of you guys here, involving you in becoming more of what you do already. I can already tell that each and every one of you here today is a positive role model, and that you have a heart not just for the youth that are here now, but the youth that are still to come. I can tell that each and every one of you have that. because you're here. And you've come to learn more, to know more, and to find out how you can further get involved in being more of a support to the networks that are already available. So I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you log on. Yeah, I want you to link up, you're going to log on. Wealth of experience coming to you from the Real Action team. As I said, this conference is called a call to action. It's a call to each and every one of you and each and every one of the people that you will touch after you've taken this information to jump on board. This is the perfect time for action. Do you agree?
Yes.
You agree. Thank you. Thank you very much. Without further ado, you didn't come to hear from me. You came to hear from this lady here and the gentleman that will come down to you quite shortly. This, ladies and gentlemen, I want a round of applause. Thank you very much. This is Marcia Spence.
I'm standing here before you today because I love my children. I'm also here because of a promise that I made to my son at the time of the birth of my first grandchild. My son expressed that he wanted things to be different for his son. He also said that he wanted to be the best father that he can be. On the 25th of January, 26 years ago, at the tender age of 19 years, I gave birth to my first child, a son, a beautiful, healthy baby boy, 7 pounds, 5 ounces. To those of you who are parents, just picture those moments of seeing a new life that you have created together. And remember the mix of emotions that are expressed and felt by all who are present. My son was born to me and my childhood sweetheart. We had been in love for 3 years, and our son was the product of our true love for one another. This love was poured out on our son and our daughter, who was born 2 years later. They were such a precious gift, a real blessing. They filled our home with chatter and mischief and laughter. My son was so excited about life, full of energy and brimming over with curiosity about everything. He fast became a master of general knowledge. And he was, and still is, a very, very bright man. Our daughter was a handful, cheeky, sassy, adorable and willful, daddy's girl. They were popular with teachers and other pupils. They were good children. They played football, West Bromwich Albion, athletics for Birchfield Harriers. They excelled at school. My son, at the age of 14, was predicted to achieve A stars and go straight to university. They were encountering all sorts of challenges, most of which I knew nothing about. Shanks, straps, postcodes, wrecking, food, beef, sexual initiations, sexual violation, affiliation. And this affected girls as well as boys. My children were having experiences that I didn't have an inkling existed. I was not prepared. I was not aware. And I was scared. I was their mom, their guardian, their protector, and I was failing. As a mother, I felt helpless, total despair. At times, I couldn't even cry
or eat, as I could see my babies sinking into a quagmire called the road.
I was determined to be there for my children and to help them to achieve their true potential. I wasn't giving up on them. No way. That was 10 years ago. I didn't know then that the man that I would finally work with was still growing up himself. A teenager, learning about life at the same time as my children. We met 8 weeks ago. We connected in such a way that I can only call divine. Our desire to make a difference unified us. Our knowing that a difference can be made, and our willingness to try, and to put our skills and knowledge to good use. Rebuilding the village little by little. Hence, here we are today, and anyone who knows me knows that I walk my talk. And we can see that Craig is a real action man. All I need you to do today is be human. Be your plain, simple you. No egos, no labels, nothing. We are all humans here together. And we are human beings. And by that, I have a friend who always reminds me, you know, as humans, our role is to be. And let's just be. And I invite you to do that today, to be here and be. And we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
My name is Alston Lewis. I'm a father, and I am here on behalf of Call for Action. And the reason I am here, because I'm a passionate father and well-being for our community. I'm here to say to each and every one to come out and support Call for Action, because our sons and daughters are lost and they need us, the older generation, to show them the way forward. So I plead to all parents to come out and support Call for Action. It takes a village to raise a child, so as a community I'm asking for you all to come out, support Call for Action. We need to break the cycle and make a better future for our children. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure many of you are touched by Marcia's openness. Up next to speak with us is Alston Lewis. This is the piece entitled in the programme, A Father's Perspective. Can we have a little round of applause? Or a big one, Alston Lewis.
This is my belief, and I know it to be true. I know I'm not perfect, I'm not an expert. However, my faith in God is at the core of my belief. I want to tell you a little story about myself and where I'm coming from. Because I believe if you don't know where I'm coming from, then how can then you know where I'm going to end up? And this is what I say for our children. Our children don't know where they're coming from because we as parents have not sat down and told them about our grandparents, how they came over from the West Indies, what struggles they went through. How many of us can say that we sat our children down? And I'm talking about fathers, I'm not speaking about mothers, young people, I'm talking about fathers, I'm talking about myself. Did I ever sit down and tell my son about his grandfather, his grandmother, when he was growing up? Where was I when I was supposed to be there for him? I think if a lot of men back in my time were here now, they would honestly say that they was out clubbing, which I know I was in the 80s, growing up. You know, that was the thing, sound man and all those things. And obviously the children left the home. So I'm just here to say that growing up, I came from a very loving family, mother and father. There was 8 of us. And back in those days, in the 60s, this is what I saw. I didn't see single-parent families. There probably was single-parent family out there, but I didn't see any. All I saw was mothers and fathers. And that's the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in a strict family. My father was very strict. Back in those days, it was, you know, if you didn't behave, if you didn't hear, you'd be disciplined by the belt or whatever. But this is how I grew up, and this is why I'm here now. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it kept us in order. At the age of 12, I lost my father. And I can tell you now, from the time my father died, all that I learned from him, seeing him go to work, coming back, looking after us, making sure food on the table, all these things are in me today. So I know, even though my father gone when I was an early age, he still instilled a lot of things in me. Now my mother now had to take on responsibility as mother and father. And she's done an excellent job, because she still instilled that fear in us, that if you do this, this is going to happen to you. Get a trade, go to school. She instilled all these things in us, which is why I'm here now. Craig was speaking on the radio a couple of days ago, and one of the biggest problems for our sons, I'm not missing out the girls, I'm just speaking about the sons at this present, but the girls included as well, is absent fathers. That is one of the biggest problems with our sons, and not single families, but fathers being there at the home, but not speaking to their sons, not having no communication. And I don't know where this is coming from, but we have to break this cycle. This cycle needs to be broken. Otherwise, our young men of 27 coming up are going to have the same problem. They're not going to know how to speak to their sons. And their sons are going to end up going to jail. And that is a true reality of it. It's going to be a continuous cycle of our children going into the hands of the government. And we need to take back our children from society, because society is just taking them and saying, these kids are a menace. Let's lock them up. They don't know our kids how to operate, only we know our children. This is why we're here today, to stop this cycle and to bring our children back together. And you might be asking, what can we do? You know what, everything I've written here, I haven't spoken.
Okay.
What can we do? What we need to do, I'm speaking to the black businesses out there, all the businessmen. Because a friend of mine said to me that she asked some black businesses if they could help. And the first thing he said is, what can I get out of you? And that is the wrong thing. What you can get out of it is satisfaction. Yes. And to know that you've turned your people, you've changed the generation. I always say though, in 100 years' time, our people are going to look back to the year 2000, 1950s when our parents came over, up till the present day, and look and say, when the first generation came, what did they do? What have they done? And when they look, all they will see that these people just went to nightclubs. Every weekend, what's on? What did they do for their children? What have we really done? You know, I can say for myself, what have I done for my children? And this is why I am a changed person. So what I'm saying to you is, this thing can work. When people come with negativity and say, there's no hope for us, it's all lies. The devil is a liar. Yes. So I'm telling you today that we need to break the cycle, and we will. There's a few of us here today, but this is just addressing it. So those are my few words.
Thank you.
My name's Gail Boyd. I do a talk show on New Star Radio. I'm here with the Real Action team this afternoon. It's Sunday, it's all fabulous, and it's all about positive, conscious parenting. The reason I want to support this project is because I believe that our children are traumatised. And I think they're traumatised because they have been brought up by traumatised parents who in turn were brought up by traumatised parents. It's interesting that this very month is 65 years since the mass migration of the Windrush people came over to the UK. And I think that part of what we're going through today, part of this trauma is part of that legacy from 65 plus years ago. But even though it's traumatic and even though it's so bad, our children are dying, they've been incarcerated, they've been locked up in mental health institutions, they've been abused sexually and violently on the streets. I do believe that this is something we can fix. All we have to do is talk about it. We need to get together, we need to communicate, and out of that communication will come the solution to most of the problems that we're facing today. So join us. It's real action, real talk.
If you were to ask me what advice I would give to young men out there, I'd have to say, play an active part in the role of your children, especially your young boys. They need to feel wanted, they need to feel loved, and they need to feel that you're interested in them. It's important that mom's interested in them, but it's 10 times more important that dad is, because ultimately they want to emulate you.
I want to welcome, well, everybody knows this man anyway, but I'm just going to welcome to this part of the event Mr. Craig Pinkney, who is responsible for those wonderful films that we saw just before the break. We're moving straight into the workshop now. I forgot to mention earlier, although it's one of the things that impresses me most about this gentleman, that he has worked with such hard-to-reach youth, and that he was just telling me that this film, these series of films that he made, touch him very, very deeply on a level that perhaps some of us may not understand here today, and I'm not going to go into that at this moment. But Mr. Craig Pinkney, educational specialist, youth and community development worker, working on his Masters in Criminology, has spent more or less a decade on the street with some of these young people. He's an absolute insight. He gives the inspiration that will provide us with the aspiration that we need to leave here today. Mr. Craig Pinkney, here for you this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, for the next 35 minutes, all I want you all to do is just observe. I want you all to just pay attention to some of the key things in which I'm about to present to you today. I don't have a lot of time. I could talk all day about some of these themes in which I'm going to be speaking about, with the hope that following the program that we're presenting to you at the end, for you guys to take part in, participate, join, put all your energy and support into. You'll see me later on and develop a little bit more about some of the key things which I'm about to present. The title speaks for itself, the reality of our youth. When myself and Marcia first came up with this, we tried to come up with that concept. What exactly was going to drive home to the hearts of the people within the community that see young people every single day, have family members, have friends, children, brothers, sisters. And we're faced with so many different challenges as parents, as brothers, sisters, and just members of the community, and don't know how to respond, how to react. So the reality of our youth, I'm just going to talk about some of the key things that's going on for our youth, our young people, predominantly those boys that you've seen in the film that I just showed, the young women that I just showed. And I'm going to try and contextualize some of the things that's going on, with the hope that parents in the room would be able to look, to think, to possibly come up with practical solutions. traditionally we were all accepted despite the wrong things that we did, despite some of the weaknesses we had as individuals. We were accepted by the community as a member of the community, and we was given responsibility to do something, to be a part of that community. Young people are rejected in our community because we all know it. We all got our jobs, we got a healthy salary, so it don't affect me. It's just you people on the corner. It's other young people, love to do that, love to do this. Rejection. And then I'm going to break down how that affects young people when they hear that from us in our community. Young people don't know who they are. They have no knowledge of self. Code of the streets. Stop snitching. Man don't snitch. So even if you beat up my mum, and man them know in the ends who did it, man I'm not saying that. Because of the code of the streets. And how that affects our communities, that when we want to move forward, we've got old beefs that we can't forget about. Because that man done something to my sister, them brothers done something to my brother, and man don't want to talk. So some people are in the community walking free for some crimes that they've done to your brother, my sister, my mum, your dad, because of the code of the streets. And it's conflicting, because on one side we say, you know what, I want change. But then on the other side, I can't talk because I can put myself in bigger danger, and I understand that, but that's the reality. You got young people that possibly will riot, get 35 years, 23 years, and don't injure not one person. But you got people that manufacture guns, bring drugs in our community, and get 12 years, 6 years. This is what happens, and this is a reality. But if you don't read, you won't know this type of information. You'll assume again that it's just our problem. But from where I'm standing, I don't know nobody in Hockley, Handsworth, Winson Green, West Rum, Balsa Heath that owns a gun manufacturing company. I don't know nobody that owns a plane or a boat that can import and export kilos and kilos of cocaine and heroin. I don't know. So somehow it got here. Somehow it got here. And then they gave it to our community, they give it to our young people, and they leave them to shoot, kill, stab, and rob one another because of this. So we have to look at these things more closely and what's going on in terms of the reality of our young people. Some young people want to leave a legacy. What do I mean by that? Some youths want to do so much bad on the road. Some men want to bang so hard so that they can have everyone remembering them. Some of the key incidents that have happened in our community when people have got 35 years, 25 years, you go to the areas where they come from and the young people say, yo, my man is a boss, he's a legend, man them clapped off at the helicopter, man them clapped off the gal and all them things there. You hear young people talking about this? And when they get to that opportunity, because road life has benefits, they bang out hard, they get involved. Sorry if I'm talking in a dialect that people may not understand, but this is the language of the youth. This is how they speak. So I speak that language to you, for you to understand it. And if we need a break time after, for you to say, when you said banging, what did you mean? When you said pull out a strap, what do you mean? I'll explain that to you. Because you might hear it in the bedroom, you might hear it in the front room, or when they're on the phone and you're thinking, okay, he's just talking about straps on his belt. Or he's talking about food because he's hungry. So I'll break those things down to you. So some youths, because you can't hear me and you can't see me, might as well be a badger, and I might as well carry a knife. Because maybe if I get caught with a knife, my mum will be like, oh, Andre, what are you doing? Suleiman, what are you doing? What are you doing with a knife? How come you got caught with a knife? Because they feel invisible. Some of our young people, they feel invisible. Some turn to guns. I'm not leaving my yard without my strap. If a man steps to me, I'm going to make him know that man right here are not fools. I'll move to a man if I have to. Because these men don't seem to see me. They must just think I'm soft because I live here. So I might as well carry a gun. Kill or be killed. that nihilistic thinking, kill or be killed, get rich or die trying. But back to us. What are we exposing our children to? What are we exposing to our children to? And I'm not going to be sorry for the slides I'm about to show you, because we're guilty too. Because our children are traumatized. But we make them play Call of Duty. We brought them Call of Duty. We made them play Grand Theft Auto. We made them play 18+ games, and they're not supposed to. And I throw that out to the parents in the room. Would you make your children watch porn? You'll all say no. But you make them play Call of Duty. You make them play Grand Theft Auto. I say, oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. We hear this all the time. Our 13-year-olds, I've been to primary schools and I've asked children in the hall, how many children in this room have played Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty? They all go. If I haven't, my brother's got it, or my cousin's got it, my auntie and my mum let us play. They're downstairs chilling. And we know young people can't contextualize the reality of what's going on within these games. So I've been called to schools and everybody's got green string vests on, but nobody don't know what's going on because the kids want to be CJ. If anybody knows about Grand Theft Auto, that's what I'm talking about. And we see these things all the time, but we just don't know. And the question is, why don't we know? Because we should know. And if we're a village and we're a people that are trying to uplift the community, we need to be in touch with the reality of what's taking place with our children. We need to break the cycle. We need to break the cycle. Because the cycle will always continue if we allow ourselves to be ignorant. We allow ourselves to just sit here and do nothing and just observe when everything else in our community is going down. We need to break the cycle. Because if we don't break the cycle, we'll see a lot more murders. Our children will be victims of violence. Our children will go to far-right extremism. Extremism in general. A lot of our young people will commit suicide. A lot of our young people will be mental health services. A lot of our young people will be drinking and smoking to get rid of the pain because they're silent, they're invisible. I can't talk, I can't express what you think because you know what? You're always judging me, you've always got something to say, Mum. You've always got something to say, Dad. Just listen to me, just 1 minute. Because the gangs and the groups outside that are antisocial to society, they're giving our children something that obviously we're not giving them. Because we may come from strong families, but they want to go to a gang, so there's something, there's a piece missing. And I'm not one to stand here and say I know all of the answers. But from the testimonies of these young men that we're speaking about, and the ones that I've showed, these are the answers what they're coming with. They've got missing links. And my mum never listened. Yeah, she worked hard, but she never listened to me. Because her way was always that way. And we never really had a conversation and never really negotiated certain things. Because me are the adult and you are the child. You hear these things? And I'm not saying that you're wrong. But when a voice is unheard, the reaction is often the things that I've just presented to you.
I'm very, very challenged by something that Craig has said today. And it's about the PlayStation. It's about the Call of Duty. I know my son is sitting right next to me, but it's something that we have battled with for a long time, and it's something that Kaya is very much into playing those games, and I'm aware of the effect that it does have on him and his personality sometimes. You know, when he's playing on them, I can see a difference, and I'm extremely challenged by your call for me to get rid of the game, because I know I'm standing there thinking, well, how am I going to do that?
Exercising.
Okay, that's an exercise of tough love. And I know that I've had situations, I mean, my children are here, where the lifestyle that my son had at the time was just something that was just totally not acceptable for my home. And I remember an occasion when I said to my son, you're going to have to leave the home. there's no way you can live here. And he came home one evening and he had been attacked. He was covered in bruises. However, I don't know how actually now, when I reflect how I did it, but I actually stuck to my word because I needed him to know that this was not acceptable. So even though my baby, my son, was covered in bruises, I said, you still have to go. And so that's tough love.
Yeah. Can I just say one other thing? I just think that the difficulty with this thing is that it's something that is just so widely accepted. It's widely accepted in our society. All children play it. It's how do... I mean, I'm not going to get the answer today. Just that question, how do we do that? You know, it's about that, isn't it?
And I think as a community, as a people, we need to start from somewhere. Because there was one time when we were in shackles and we were saying that, you know, it was happening every single day and how we're going to get these chains off us. But we did. You know, so it's hard, and I guess I'm not possibly giving the answers probably you want to hear. But have that conversation as well. Yeah. Have that conversation as well, and I encourage to have that conversation, see where he's coming from, because I don't know his son, so it's wrong for me to stand here and say that this is what he's going through. But working in schools, working in youth defending, working and speaking to their parents, gaming, music, and a lot of these things that's out there is damaging their minds, and it happens from a young age. So if we can catch them as early as we can, when he's a grown man, he's going to make choices. We're all going to make choices. So I hope that helps.
Thank you.
I think as well, going back to when I was young, and you know, like I said in my previous message, our parents back in the 60s, it was discipline, it was the belt, you know, he was really getting a severe beating if he did something wrong. And I think with my generation, those in their 50s and 45 going on 50s, I think when we got to an age where our parents couldn't hit us anymore, we said that I'm not going to make that happen to my children. I'm not going to beat them. I'm going to, you know, there's no way I'm going to let them go for what I went through. And I think that's where we went wrong, because we gave them gifts, we loved them, and we spoiled them. And we've got to a stage now that we don't even know how to talk to them. Because we don't, you know, it's like we're frightened of our own children. Whereas if we kept that strict discipline from they was a baby, now they've grown up, we don't know how to deal with them because they're going to get upset and they're going to do a strop on us. And we don't want to hurt their feelings. So we have got to go back to that tough love, like Craig said. You know, they're going to be hurt, but for how long? But eventually, in a few years' time, they're going to say, I can see why mum or dad did that.
Wow, what a day we've had. It's been absolutely fantastic. It just seemed that the speeches and everything that we planned really flowed, you know, and the feeling that we got from the people who attended was amazing. I'm really looking forward to the next step when we roll out the program, the Breaking the Cycle program. If you'd like to find out more, get in touch with us.
So there you have it. We made the call within the community. As you see, many people came out to support the cause, and I want to thank everybody that came out today, everybody that spoke, everybody that supported the event, and all the people that decided to jump on the program that we're about to do within the community and make a change, make a real change. It's been a hot day today. Anyone could have been anywhere. You could have been partying, you could have been in the sun and in the park, but you decided to come. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and those of you that couldn't make it, I hope that you enjoy the footage. I hope you enjoy some of the key things in which we tried to get through. It's Real Action Youth in Motion. It's about turning real talk into real action. Peace.